Next up, we've got a new letter that details why Donkey Kong 64's innovative stop and swap feature was removed. More interesting than that, I didn't know that Rare had a stop and swap feature, but I'm sure you guys do as retro enthusiasts.
No, fuck that game. I hate that game.
Donkey Kong 64?
Yep. I never played it as a kid. I tried to play it as an adult, and I was like, this is ass.
It's a
And
frustrating game.
I hate it. I hate it. I think it's dog shit. It looks ugly. It's slow. It's sluggish. The camera's absolutely atrocious. No, I'm good.
And then you have to beat the arcade version of Donkey Kong at the end of the game to unlock the final boss.
Yeah, whatever. I've never played that, but
I threw my controller against the wall as a kid at that point. I'm like, it's a 3D. Even as a teenager, I hated like retro games at that time. Not that I hate them now, I just find them unpleasant. So I was playing on the N64, and I had a decent good time playing through Donkey Kong 64. And then I make it to this arcade, and you have to beat it not just once, you have to beat it again on a harder difficulty. I was like, why would they make you play this old 80s game when we're in a modern time on a 3D console? And because I sucked, right? So I just threw the controller and I just rage quit. But I eventually beat it and I felt really good about it. But have you heard of the stop and swap feature? Because I actually went out and looked into what this was, and apparently it's a pretty big
no,
thing.
because I don't care about the game, so I would never
But it affects
look at
Banjo Kazooie and Banjo Tooie. Do you like those games?
it. I never really played them that much.
All right. Have you heard of this, Greg? I think you'll love this if you don't know it.
I've like I've like heard something about it, and I don't know if it's the correct thing that I've heard. So
All
please
right.
tell.
So in Banjo Kazooie, I think to this day you can still grab like mystery really bright eggs, and there's a key made of ice in the game, and no one knew what it was like originally, but this was all unveiled years ago. Apparently, that was made for a stop and swap feature that Rare was developing, where if you were playing Banjo Kazooie, you could take out your cart, put in Banjo Tooie, and those items would
Mm.
transfer. You had to do
Well,
that
that's pretty
swap
cool.
with the console on, and you had a 10-second window to do it. But it was never
Yeah.
actually used because Nintendo was like, no, there's problems doing that. And so this letter that came out is a letter from Nintendo to one of the producers and developers at Rare saying why it's a problem. And one of the reasons was like, we don't believe this can be supported down the road. And actually, that's kind of what happened. Later on, that swap feature would have had to be done within a second due to just hardware upgrades. So anyway, that whole thing was scrapped. I'm like, that's kind of a cool idea that they were onto there. And I had no idea the stop and swap thing was even a thing. And I just learned all this in the past hours. If I butchered any of that information,
Well, that's
apologize for
like
that.
what it was, an X-Men 2 on the Genesis. You had to like turn off the system or something and then turn it back on at one point.
Really? For what?
Yeah, to like progress. And like
Oh,
the game gives you no sort of indication that you have to do that either. It's really weird.
I really didn't. You had to do something like that on the DS with Zelda, one of the Zelda games. You had like a shape
Oh,
on the top screen, and you had to like close
Yeah,
your
you just
DS
closed it. Yeah.
and open it so that it transfers to the other screen. But like, come on, what
Yeah,
other
you had
game
to
does that?
reset. You had to hit reset at a certain point
Yeah.
in the game.
Wasn't there like a Kojima game too that did some crazy stuff that like wiped
Well,
your?
that was Metal Gear Solid 2
Hmm.
or Metal Gear Solid 1. There was lots of weird stuff that happened in both of those games. I Need Scissors 66.
Sorry.
I Need Scissors 66.
What's that about?
Don't you worry.
Okay.